Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of worry, stress, or tension to feel like it's leaving your body in your outward breath. I want you to notice as you breathe in and breathe out that the slower that you breathe, more feelings of resourcefulness feel like it's recharging your batteries. And as you exhale, it just feels that more of that tension or stress or worries are leaving your body. So simply by breathing in and breathing out, you're able to feel deeper and deeper relaxed. I want you to scan your body for any clues of tension. Maybe there's tension in your forehead, jaw, neck or shoulders. And almost like a radar, like a submarine, scanning your body for any signs of tension. As you see or feel any clues of tension, set the intention to release it and exhale that tension so it leaves your body, and on the next inward breath in, you're breathing in a resource, and that resource could be kindness, understanding, the ability to trust your intuition. Imagine any tension in your neck just melting away like ice cubes in the sun. Eyelids feeling heavier and heavier. And allow yourself to go on a wonderful journey into your subconscious mind. And some people believe that although our physical body changes, our body is just a vessel for a soul that repeats different lives, and sometimes events of the past influence the future. And I want you to imagine there was a time in your life, perhaps a previous life, a time where food was scarce. Maybe there was a famine, or maybe you were a prisoner. And in many prisons throughout history, there was a lack of food for the prisoners. And there was a prison guard that would be harsh, dishing out punishments. And a hungry prisoner might not get enough food and not trust any authority that they would get enough food. And I want you to wonder if there was a time like that in a life before a life before a life, that throughout history this was common, that there was not enough food. People would starve, people were malnourished, and quite often people would end up in prison camps, particularly in times of war. Not because they did anything wrong, but just because it was a weapon of war. And I want you to imagine going back to a time where food was scarce, in a culture of control. And I want you to imagine how you would feel if there wasn't enough food around and then suddenly there was some food. Maybe you knew that other prisoners would want that food as well, so you would eat it quickly. Not really caring about the quality of the food, just wolfing it down. I want you to get a sense that if that was your experience, even if you left the prison camp, You might still have a desire to eat more than you need because you had no idea when your next meal was coming from. And therefore it's understandable to think about food, to crave food. But I want you to imagine a different reality. I want you to turn the prison camp into a place of kindness and compassion. Turn it into a wonderful, nurturing retreat. I want you to imagine the prison guards are turning into kind and compassionate carers. That the harsh prison walls are turning into colourful, well-decorated, warm, homely environment. That the disgusting, limited food is turning into good quality, nutritious food. Perhaps you can imagine that in this wonderful environment, there is still one solitary prison guard from the old prison. That even though this is a safe place, even though this is a caring place, even though there is no scarcity of food, there is still a tiny part of you that doesn't trust that food will always be there. And there is a tiny part of you that feels because of that there needs to be controls and there needs to be punishments and there needs to be shame. And I want you to imagine there is a prison guard that may look like a character from a movie. Maybe the woman from Misery, or maybe the teacher from Matilda. Imagine that Miss Trunchbull type of characteristics in a prison warden. But I want you to hear some of your inner dialogue telling you not to eat too much, that you're going to be fat. But imagine it coming from this Miss Trunchbull type of character, dressed in a grey prison overalls, even though you're in a safe, warm, nurturing place. And if this feels like, at some level, it echoes your experience of feeling there are controls and punishment even when they don't need to be, let me know by nodding your head. And perhaps there was a time where you felt like you needed to have that strong authority within to stop you harming yourself or causing yourself pain or problems. But that's not your reality anymore. And therefore, that part, that character that's harsh and uncompromising also isn't needed anymore. I want you to feel how good you would feel to see that Miss Trunchbull character gradually evolve into a kind, caring, compassionate, supportive voice. I want you to see this character slowly evolve into someone that looks like the Robin Williams character from Good Will Hunting. Someone that also wants to help and protect you and to keep you safe, but from a place of kindness and empathy, from a place of support and understanding. And I want you to imagine that that part that used to starve and be desperate to eat doesn't need to be desperate to eat anymore. Instead, I want you to change that desperation for more balance and harmony. Take it or leave it. The attitude of, if I'm hungry, I'll eat. If I'm not, I won't. And notice how much more relaxed you feel when the voice of starvation becomes more balanced and becomes more suited to this new environment, this new world that you live in. I want you to imagine that your inner dialogue voice is not desperate anymore. You want good quality food. You want to enjoy your food. But you don't need it. You don't have to have it. Imagine this new voice is just like Goldilocks in the story of the three bears. You're looking for just the right amount. Not too much, not too little, just the right amount. And if you feel that voice of starvation is happy to be a voice of just the right amount, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine here in this wonderful retreat that feels safe and secure, there is a big buffet of all of your favorite foods. There are fruits and vegetables, there's nutritious food, but there's also cakes and biscuits and ice cream and every food you can imagine. And I want you to notice that inner voice is very calm, very relaxed. That you'll eat if you're hungry because that food isn't going anywhere. You don't need to binge, you don't need to eat, you don't need to obsessively chew away. You can take it or leave it. And in doing so, you can enjoy it even more. There's no guilt, no shame, no stress, no rules. I want you to feel how good it feels to listen to your intuition, but an intuition of balance, of moderation, a voice of what is good for you. And you can be surrounded by food and not feel a desire to eat too much. And you could be around no food whatsoever and have no anxiety at all. And I want you to imagine you're preparing a plate with foods. And I want you to imagine that Robin Williams character is helping you to choose the right amount. But it's kind and empathetic and balanced and understanding and caring. That if you feel tired, maybe you have a bit more. That if you had a big breakfast, then maybe you have a little less. I want you to feel how good it feels for those inner voices, that intuition, to come from a place of balance and compassion. That what was before a battlefield is now peacetime. The prison is now a caring home. The storm is now settled water. And notice how much more relaxed you can feel in yourself. And as you change the relationship with yourself, you change the relationship with food. You can enjoy food without overthinking about it. You can serve yourself food and not need to eat everything on your plate. You can have a dessert or something sweet without feeling guilty. And all of it is just a never-ending feedback loop so that you get things that are just right for you. And I want you to imagine what it would be like living a day with this level of harmony. What you'd have for breakfast, lunch or dinner. that even if those voices come into your head, they're not desperate voices or harsh voices. They're friendly, kind, relaxed voices. And notice that food becomes more enjoyable. You eat slower and more enjoyably. And you're able to reduce all of that stress and anxiety. And imagine a week of living that way. You don't need to live perfectly. You can enjoy your life, enjoy your food, and you find a rhythm that works for you. And I want you to notice that because you've changed your relationship with food, a lot of these rules have just gone away because they're not needed. No need for punishments and controls, just effortless feedback, like Goldilocks, just to get the right amount. And notice that you're living that way, you're sleeping better, you're feeling more confident. Your body is changing not because you're forcing it to change, but because it's a side effect of you having this harmonious relationship with yourself. Feel how good it feels to live with that harmony, to be good with yourself. And imagine a few months of living this way. You don't need to live perfectly. Any one meal you could eat too much, and maybe you eat a little less on the next meal. You could have 2 or 3 days which aren't perfect, and then have more nutritious food for the next 2 or 3 days. And as you do so, you are building trust with yourself, harmony with yourself, alignment with yourself. And imagine 4 or 5 months has passed and you just notice a reflection of yourself in a shop window. You notice yourself smiling, but you also notice you seem healthier, with a body shape that feels more natural, more confident, and more healthy for you. And if it feels good to live this way and be this way, with more harmony and less stress, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to take that feeling all the way back to the present as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're returning to the present, but with a new sense of harmony, that the chaos and struggles and starvation and punishments are the past, and the future is compassion and kindness, collaboration and empathy, balance and harmony. Very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, and you will awaken with this harmony, feeling that this is now your default, trusting your intuition and looking forward to those new friendly voices to guide you into good choices. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.